Hello everybody, welcome back to a Super Castlevania 4 run any percent, run by the man who always rolls perception with advantage, Eagle Eye Jones, with commentary from somebody who definitely cheats on their perception rolls, D&D Nat 21. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Wherever you are, I'm Eagle Eye Jones, and I'm running one run of CV4 any percent today, which is one of my all-time favorite games. I've played this game as a kid when it came out, and I played it years and years after, and here I am again speedrunning this game. I picked it up like 6 months ago, and it's really one of those enjoyable experience. Enjoyable, but also frustrating. It is a very tough game to speedrun, and I'm doing my very best today to actually do it. And with me on this journey is my good friend D&D Net, who will be doing the most of the commentary. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you as well, Eagle Eye Jones, and good evening everybody in the chat. I hope everybody is as hyped as I am to be able to see another fantastic run of Super Castlevania 4 here at Pixels for People.
So I'm just typing in my name real quick. It doesn't matter what you type in at the beginning of the screen. I'm just doing this right here so that everyone knows what it's all about, because we are on a kids charity today, and donation coming in so far were great, but we still can crank it up a little more, don't you think, D&D?
Oh, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get those donations flying as we push through this fantastic game. It has a fantastic audio score, great level design, great overall playthrough. So let's get this started and do it for the kids.
Before we get going, I just want to make sure to, speaking of donations, I just want to make a shout out to Socrates for a $10 donation that was saying, great run, Laxus, at beating Bloodstained Cat Jam of the Moon. Great game and great run.
Thank you, Socrates. Also a good friend of mine, and thanks a lot for the $10 donation.
And
all right.
Count us down.
All right. D&D will be doing the commentary because running and commentating on my own, I suck at this. So take it away, D&D, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alrighty, everybody. So, Super Castlevania 4, first released in 1991, is a two-dimensional adventure platformer that goes through the story of Simon Belmont attempting to defeat Dracula, going through the level and the castle in order to defeat the bosses and get his way to the very top where the Count lies. Now, the concept of the game is essentially to destroy or avoid the enemies as you make your way through the levels, using whatever weapons that you have on hand. Generally, it is Simon's Whip, but there are also sub-weapons that can be dropped from the candles. These sub-weapons include an axe, a boomerang or cross, holy water, and a knife. These are all pretty useful in their situations in the casual run, but in the speed run, we care about one thing, the cross. Those crosses, they kill bosses. They go from one side of the screen to the next, as you'll see regularly from Eagle Eye here, throwing them at certain times in order to make certain that the damages are as high as possible. What we're going to try to do with this cross is try to get the multiplier up to 3. Once we get 3, we can start to overlap those crosses and really get the damage going. You see, the way that the game works and calculates damage can be a little bit abused by overlapping these crosses at a specific time in a specific frame in order to do 3 pips of damage instead of just 1. That's really the goal here. Overlap them, do the damage, and destroy the bosses. Normally in a casual run, you're going to be able to see Rodane at the end of this level, the undead knight mounted on a horse. But with some good timing, with using some jumps in order to determine where to throw those crosses, you're going to see a lot of these bosses, including Rodane, disappear in about the blink of an eye. So here, you're going to see that Eagle Eye is going to be using a lot of boost fuel, health, to try to push himself forward, as Simon actually goes faster once he's taken damage. That little bump, instead of a knock back, will push us ahead, as Simon only has the power march that you currently see here. You're also going to notice some crosses being used when there may be no enemies. This could be to regulate the amount of crosses that you have at your inventory at the end of the game, because the countdown, once you collect the orb after defeating the boss, determines on how many you have at the very end. So the smaller the amount, the less time on the end screen for the time to tick away. therefore a faster run. Let us see here as he is approaching the end of the first stage after dealing with the Medusas and going into the Rodane fight. 2 jumps and then 3 crosses should make this fight very straightforward, and then stacking up the crosses again in order to do that extra damage for the final hit, as Rodane has been indeed defeated, and the orb should be captured in 3, 2, 1, and on to the next level. Nicely done first stage there, Eagle Eye.
Thank you, thank you.
Moving on to the second stage, the swamp. The major issue with the swamp is the critters that are inside the swamp, not necessarily the undead creatures that have been summoned in order to defeat Simon Belmont and get in his way. These creatures, the frogs, the bats, the crows, the birds, even the spiders, they're all there, and if they do not get handled in a specific way, with good timing on the cross throws and proper whips, they can get out of hand very quickly and become a problem. Health management is also very important. As we had mentioned before, it is boost fuel, and sometimes it's also for invincibility frames. You're going to see later on in the game that Simon will be flashing at times, and we're going to be abusing those invincibility frames in order to walk through certain enemies. But if you do not have the boost fuel, if you do not have the health, you cannot move forward, and this can sometimes cause a problem depending on how you approach this game. Now, also, if this does indeed occur, where the health is a little bit lower than normal, you can revert to whip-only strats, another category that is indeed available in this game. So sometimes there are backup strats that you can apply to keep going forward, not lose too much time, and regain those cross multipliers, or use the health that you have in order to keep advancing forward as best as possible. Here, it's about 2 crosses, avoiding the swamps that's going to suck you down and slow you down. Those jump inputs can sometimes get crossed up and mixed up, and have Simon standing in the same place, but Eagle Eye being very quick and tiptoeing his way across the swamp as he's able to destroy the skeletons and make his way to the lift and the annoying bird bridge. A couple of well-timed crosses are going to help out here as he's going to make his way to a boss that will be on the screen for probably less than 3 seconds if all goes well. Medusa, the middle boss that barely even exists when you really think about it. There's no boss at the end of this screen, thankfully, because it just transitions from one into the next. But Medusa right here can sometimes be a little bit of a problem if she decides to be a little affectionate and run right at Simon. Good pattern and good crosses, good timing on those crosses. Well done.
Yep, thank you.
Now the second half of stage 2, the river. There is indeed a flow. As you can see, Simon is moving a little bit faster than normal. The flow of the river is actually determined by the stage timer. So if you're able to take the boosts and avoid the enemies as fast as possible, avoiding those spikes that are also on the ceiling, you will be able to move through this level without any issue. But if you do not have enough health, because Medusa or something with the birds that happened previously, it could be a major issue, and you will have to kind of slow down, and then the current will change direction and pull Simon back, having you to do more jumps, which is kind of what the game designers wanted, because the jumps here can be fatal with the bats that you see spawning just above Eagle Eye Jones's head. They predicted that you would need to jump, but here it's safe. He gets all of the boosts and moves his way on to stage 3. This is a fantastic run so far. Stage 3 is really about health management and handling a little bit of the RNG that is involved in this game. A lot of it is manipulatable, but here, the Mudmen can be a little bit of a problem as they have random patterns, walking right or left, and changing direction almost seemingly when they want to. In that case, Eagle Eye Jones took a little bit of time in order to be able to jump over the Mudmen and not take the 4 pips of damage. There is another strategy where you can break apart the Mudmen and use those invincibility frames that sometimes occur when the enemy is spawning in order to take less damage from an impact. Here, there was a little bit of a circumstance there that's similar to what I just talked about, but unfortunately the split was not in Eagle Eye Jones's favor. That was one of the bad patterns that the Mudmen can give you, but still he was able to take the iframes and only take 1 hit versus getting stuck with 2 hits. The health here is very important, as you're going to see him take certain boosts through the level in 3-2, the waterfall. Good fuzzball boost. That skips a good portion of the phase the level instead of having to move all the way to the right side and then to the left. Here you're going to notice up ahead a situation with what is called the ring glitch. There are different physics for the rings. In order for Simon to be swinging, it requires a pendulum effect. In this case, there is no downward gravity, which means that the ring can be used as a center of a circle, pushing outward and basically skipping a good portion of the level right there, and sometimes even saving a little bit of a lag while doing so. Good ascent all the way up to the waterfall. Moving into the second part of, well, third part, sorry, of 3-3. 3-3, the fishmen can be a problem. They will shoot Simon from underneath the level, and if you do not take care of their location, they can sometimes ruin Simon when he is swinging on the rings.
Is there a quick moment for some donations?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I just want to say we got a massive $100 donation from Palestine.
What?
With no comments, nothing. Just put it towards the Resident Evil village, the full baby experience. Absolutely blowing away that incentive, leaving us with the Yuka's Tale incentive, but we also received a $17.09 donation from Mannix, saying every year I discover some amazing streamers and personalities, and I'm glad to be restreaming them for the millionth time. The Indian Eagle Eye, let's hope this donation was good enough to make it 900, and it certainly was.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Palestine, and Mannix, the two of you. Great people. They're in our streams all the time. I myself, I'm a Super Castlevania 4 runner. We are a very positive community, and I love seeing them in the chats. They're very, very good people. Thank you so much for that donation. Is there anything else?
Yes, actually, I'm going to have to make you thank somebody else as well, because we received another $40 donation from Socrates.
Wow.
I've been called out, and I have to donate it again. EJ has come a long way since the fated Shockrat BB, and I'm happy to see him running this game for such a great cause. A shout out to Carter for putting out this event, and to the Castlevania community for being such an awesome and supportive group of people.
Chakra, thank you so much. Also part of the original Super Castlevania 4 tournament not too long ago, doing a lot of restreaming work, a fantastic man as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Valestine, Mannix, and Chakra.
Incredible. So, we just saw the Orphic Vipers get taken down with a very good cross combination, shredding them and making short work of them, as we're going to be able to move into Stage 4. Stage 4 has some pretty interesting applications with the Mode 7 feature of the Super Nintendo when it was released, as well as a little bit of abuse when it comes to the amount of pixels on the screen. They didn't take that into account, especially with the frame rule that exists within this game. You're going to notice later on some strategies where enemies that could be killed could be simply avoided, and some tight jumps that seem a little sketchy, but we're going to get to that in a second, as Puexel descends from the ceiling, licks you up backwards. The naming conventions of a lot of these bosses from Konami is indeed a unique situation. They like to mix things up and have little jokes in their naming conventions. Short work of Puexel, no severe damage, great health moving into the spinning room. Here there is, some Medusa heads are going to be flying across the screen. Do you destroy them? Do you jump and avoid them? No, actually you stay perfectly still, as their spawn location is based on Simon's location, and if you crouch, the Medusas, well, they're going to do this. This is a perfect time for you to take a break, take a sip of your coffee, have a nice sip of water, maybe dry your hands if you're feeling a little stressed out about how good your run is going. This is indeed a very simple situation where the time in between can be used to take a breather, as the rest of the game can require a lot of your concentration. The room is going to spin back, and with a simple timing of approximately 8 sound files, which is not too much of a delay. Well, 8 sound bits. You're going to hear Eagle Eye swing back and forth and land on the spawning floor just to his left, and he is. Moving on to the spinning room. Here, you're going to notice the amount of lag that appears even simply by killing one enemy. So we're going to avoid that. We're going to jump over every single skeleton that we can possibly think of. Here, we have invincibility potions. No, Simon did not get hit. That is indeed a way to prevent getting any form of damage as you move through the rotating tunnel. Timing every single jump to make certain that the spawn points of this room are very accurate. If you get knocked back or change your timing, even by a little bit, the room's spawn points can change, making you have to spend a lot more time, causing a lot more lag in that room. Here, there was a specific tech. Keep your eyes open. Let's see if we're going to be able to see. Oh, unfortunately, no. There was a slight little bonk on the zip situation. Eagle Eye Jones going for the safer route. I do not disagree. It is indeed a risky maneuver, the zip. There is a skip that could exist there where you get wedged in between the ceiling with the bat using the iframes from the damage in order to skip a good portion of this level. It's only about a 10-second advantage, so it's not like a full level zip. But if you're going for extreme strats such as the world record holder, currently held by JC, time of 31:25, you are indeed going to try to shave those times off. But here he goes for the safe strat as he is going to start ascending up the staircase, collecting the meat and heading his way into the Coronaut fight. Now, Coronaut has a very interesting naming convention as well. You're going to see this, as I mentioned a couple of times throughout the game, ton of rock backwards. 3 properly placed crosses, reading the ceiling tiles, making sure that he gets the overlap damage that I had mentioned in the beginning of the game, timing the whip so that he can catch him in the air without wasting any time and getting a fantastic kill. Now, the platforms that are on the left and right are based on where Coronaut, or when Coronaut dies. So there is indeed a way to get an early orb if your timing is appropriate off of those platforms, but unfortunately the timing was not set up there, and in the middle there was no chance with those platforms. But good kill nonetheless. Moving on to stage 5, which is kind of a breather of a level, so to speak, as compared to what lies in store for us now. Here for stage 5, we are going to be keeping an eye out for harpies. Harpies are a problem because they drop fleamen, and fleamen jump around chaotically. Remember those frogs that we saw before that we wanted to get rid of as quickly as possible? Well, the fleamen do the same thing, but the harpies are RNG. Sometimes you'll get none, sometimes you'll get 10, and more often than not, they're spawning in the unfortunate locations that you really do not want them to be there. So, good cross timing is very, very important in order to be able to clear the screen as often as possible. So those harpies are not too much of an issue. See, it's right there at the top. That would have been outside of Simon's whip range and would have had no way of dealing with them. And that could have been a problem, but well done, well handled from Eagle Eye Jones. Moving on to the second half of 5, where sometimes you can do a top boost, but here is indeed the slower but safer route of the bottom route. A couple of candles to get your heart count up, a bat in order to stop you, not much of an issue. But here, no boss on stage 5. We move straight into stage 6, which is where things get harder. HP, it goes up on the enemies, and the level is extremely unforgiving. Stage 6 is the first level inside of the castle of Count Dracula. The ghouls, the bats, the dogs, everything here is just a little bit tougher, and the infamous chandeliers will be laying ahead of us. These chandeliers are a set of swinging images using the moving background and platforms to kind of create the sense of tension with the creaking sound that the chandeliers make every single time they move left and right. Now, there is a way to get a 1 cycle, timing it perfectly when you jump across each platform using audio cues and certain little clip advantages to move the way through these chandeliers, but it is extremely risky. As you can see below him, there is no floor. Even one mistake is fatal. Now, a 2 cycle saves about 10 seconds, it costs about an extra 10 seconds, but is much safer, much more feasible when it comes down to it. But the 3 cycle is the safest. And here you're going to see Eagle Eye Jones making his way through it, not going for the 2 cycle. It is indeed a very, very, very stressful technique that unless you've practiced it and you really are confident in your timing, it's best just to play it safe and stick to those platforms. Here you're going to see that the knights and the bats are going to be working together in order to take care of Simon. There is indeed a secret room. There are 3 secret rooms inside of Super Castlevania 4. One is just below here in case anything were to happen. There is a room filled with hearts, health, and the sub-weapons, whichever one you so choose. And there is a very good place here for you to be able to get your combo back if something were to happen. But thankfully, Eagle Eye Jones is making short work of the ectoplasms, which, by the way, just a heads up, as a good portion of also the rest of the game, has some photosensitivity, flashing lights. So I would suggest a quick photosensitivity warning for anybody who has any issues with that to just be careful when we move on to the later levels. Some of the enemies and some of the bosses as well are very, very flashy, so just keep an eye out for that. Right now, Eagle Eye moving through stage 6-2 with the crumbling blocks, and is going to be making his way to the Bone Hallway. The Bone Hallway is essentially a skeleton-filled hallway, which is very difficult to maneuver. It is very crowded. The jumps are very important. The jump whips, which save us time as compared to standing in place and whipping. It saves us a bunch of time, but the timing is very, very specific, and to get knocked back and to lose your health can be a little bit of a headache, as there's essentially 3 tiers here to the Bone Hallway. The lower tier, where mostly skeleton whips and red demon skeletons that do more damage, by the way, are roaming about guarding the staircase. The second floor, which has grabbing hands slowing down Simon, and the third floor with the coffin.
Did you see that red skeleton number 2 just respawning there?
Yes, it did, and that's actually one other thing that could happen in the game. There is a despawn and spawn barrier. Sometimes you can get a double spawn or despawn the enemy if the timing is right, but they're well handled as you're able to take care of both of them, as the game tried to do what Super Castlevania 4 does. Do the weird things that you never expect. You'll catch yourself saying, I've never died there, or why did that happen? Very, very, very often. Well handled, though. Very well done.
That was weird.
Indeed. Now, moving through the animated tables, this is no Disney film. No. This is still Super Castlevania 4, as we're going to be moving our way to the Dancers, a set of ghosts that will be on the screen for a short period of time. If you let them get out of hand, they can be chaotic, corner you, bounce you around. But if you time it right in the very beginning, you can get those overlaps, as we've seen before, and just like that, the Dancers are gone. Nice early orb, and we're moving on to stage 7, the library, with headed by the Guardian Knight, Grakul. Whew. Fantastic run so far. As we start stage 7, we're going to be using these knights to help us get through. Now, the knights' physical damage do 3 pips of damage. We're not a big fan of that. We would much rather be hit by their axes, which only do 2 pips of damage. We can then use those boosts in order to move forward with the most amount of health possible, moving through the staircases, moving up the staircases, and moving through the enemies as quick as possible. Eagle Eye Jones taking a little bit of extra damage, unfortunately due to a whip cancel. That did not destroy the axe that was coming, but now adapting these strategies so that he is able to take this damage boost, walk right through the knight, and make his way through this staircase, which instead of taking the stairs, we're just gonna jump right on through them, falling right on down through the many levels, collecting the meat along the way, and forgetting any level of enemies. Just as simple as that. Smooth and simple. Here, we're going to be approaching a small little tech called the book jump. Now, normally you would want to wait for the books to do a full rotation for the second half here, but there is indeed a specific timing that can be done, and it's just on the edge of this book here. He's going to try to go for it. Gets the catch. Unfortunately, an earlier jump, but that can happen. It is a very small window, but thankfully, the book jump allows for a very easy and simple reset. There is not too much time lost when you go for this setup. It saves about 3 seconds all in all. I believe it's 4.5, depending on how well everything goes, and allows you to move on forward. But as I mentioned, no issues with real time loss here. We're going to be able to get right back into the rhythm with the axe in hand. Grakul is not too much of an issue with whip strats, especially if you can manipulate his attack pattern. Moving through the library, you're going to notice that there is some red dogs. They do an additional point of damage. Not 3, but 4, the second most amount of damage that you'll see in this game. Right there, 4 pips of damage. And they jump and have a fondness for candles, and will jump and try to get you out of rhythm with that. But it's easy to take care of, easy to skip through, as Eagle Eye Jones is now going to make his way through this stage, avoiding the grabbing hands from the portraits, which slow you down, and can be a little bit of a headache if you're able to get stuck in them, similar to the purple hands that were in stage 2. Make his way down through here. The spikes on the ceiling are deadly. Oh, there's nothing here, right? Oh, just kidding. That is a carpet critter to push you into the ceiling, take a little bit of fatal damage, but you can just crouch, avoid it, no problem here. Avoiding these statues that are crumbling, sometimes you can take a little bit of a boost. They don't do too much damage and can push you forward. But now moving through the complicated area with the Axe Knights, if you have the crosses and an extra amount of health, you can use the axe here to boost your way through these enemies. But here, unfortunately, due to the reset before and a little bit of the damage taken in the level, Eagle Eye Jones makes short work of the enemies and makes his way to Grakul with a nice positive amount of health. Couple of whips to avoid the fireballs. Nice jumps. Ooh, axe throw, but didn't make it all the way across the screen. That was very interesting. That was a very, very tight window in order to dodge that. The axe drops, and out comes the shield. Dracul actually has 3 positions while fighting in this form. He can swing, he can hold up his shield, and he can enter a weird regen position where he can regain a pip of health due to an odd glitch. It's not intended. It's a very unique situation that occurs. But thankfully, no regen pips, and we are moving on to stage 8, a fatal stage that is raging, filled with rage, and a very good end runner. Run to ender, sorry. Stage 8 is going to be about damage boosts, as the enemies are actually our friends in this situation. The environment is really what does the most amount of damage. The spikes on the swinging pendulums, the crushers, a good portion of the poison, or in this case, the blood that has been pooled underneath Simon. It's all there to do excessive amounts of damage, most of it insta-kill. The enemies, on the other hand, are only going to be doing 2 or 3 points of damage, and we're going to use those to boost our way through the level, make short work of the stages, and get ourselves out of what could be damage cycle locations. Now, the piles of blood, or the pools of blood, I should say, rather, are, instead of red in the Japanese version, are green in the Americanized version. You'll notice that there is indeed some censorship that occurred between the 2 versions. There is no advantage to running one over the other when it comes to speedrunning. It is entirely a matter of preference. But there were some symbols that were removed when it was ported from Japan, as well as the color of the blood turned to acid green or poison green, in order to be a little bit more sensitive to the American audience. Now, Eagle Eye, reacquiring the cross that was hidden in one of the candles, making his way to the second staircase room that we've seen so far. Once again, we fall right on through, impacting only one enemy, as Eagle Eye Jones likes to boost off of that in order to make sure that he gets through the plant without any issues whatsoever. Here we're going to use just one more boost, using the iframes from the damaged staircase to make our way through the crushers and make our way to what we know to be the Vegas Bridge. Now, Vegas Bridge is a randomly appearing and disappearing bridge that does indeed have a pattern in the first and second rotation if you're able to approach it at a specific speed, using the cross throw and the whip timing there in order to make sure that there is a proper spawn pattern. Anything after the second time is more and more chaotic. It gets out of hand, and it's very easy for you to get a bad pattern that just ends your run if you hesitate or mess up the approach in any way. Here with Frankie, throw some crosses. Unfortunately, we do not have the multiplier yet, but as you noticed, vertical whips hit Frankie too. His hitbox is actually larger than his contact box with Simon, so you could stand toe-to-toe, whip up, not get hit him, and destroy the potions, making this boss simplified and extremely quick. Moving on to stage 9, the Gold Keep, the Stash Keep, Zap Bats, and Golden Skeletons. Everything in here is beautiful, the music is calming, but you know what? It is there to lull you into a false sense of security. Everything here is going to ruin your day if you get slightly offset. The dissolving platforms cause a lot of lag due to pixel overload, and if you fall from the skeletons that are throwing the bones at you, you get knocked back. It's not going to go well. You're going to end up in the pit. There are a lot of backup crosses that exist on this level, as well as a secret level, but you don't want to have to run into those. It's a full setback. The level can be very unforgiving if you do not have the proper rhythm. Here you're going to see some proper cross throws, good timing in order to make certain that the skeletons, once they get onto the screen, are taken care of as fast as possible. Eagle Eye Jones now getting his triple combo back up to max and ready to throw some more crosses, overlap those crosses, and make certain that he is safe while moving across the dissolving platforms. One thing to note, Super Castlevania 4 has a fantastic audio score. I mentioned it in the beginning of the run, but the remix of Tears of Blood is, in my opinion, one of the best in the Castlevania series. It is a classic that it plays consistently through all the Castlevania games. And in this one, it is no different. It is in the upcoming stage. But for now, listen to the calming music here and try not to get stuck in the gold pit, or as we call it, the Scrooge McDuck pit, as it sinks you down and you have to swing your way across here. Ooh, taking a risky jump to land on the staircases. One thing to note about the staircase, sometimes there is a dead pixel on staircase 1, 5, 9, and 13. You can fall through at a diagonal level, and unfortunately, that spells death for a good portion of Simon's jumps. And in levels like this, where the ascent is a theme, so to speak. Now, Eagle Eye Jones going for backup meat, you can indeed go into a previous level scene, well, some of them, and go back to the next level in order to respawn the candle and use the meat there if you feel like you're a little uncertain in the amount of health that you have and you don't have enough for all of the boosts. Sometimes it's definitely worth it to save the time by going back, making sure that you have enough boost fuel and are able to take down the Zap Bats in one shot. Can I get some hype from everybody in the chat for Zap Bats? Just very quickly, once again, watch your eyes. This is a very flashy boss, but we're going to be aiming for 21 attacks. Let's see if we can go ahead and get 21 whips on Zap Bats as he drops down. Come on, Eagle Eye, you got this. 1, 2, 3. Everybody, count it with it. Watching for the gold that appears on either side of Zap Bats. This is what actually damages you, but staying directly beneath Zap Bats will save you a good portion of damage until he splits apart. Here, the Zap Bats are a little bit higher than we'd like, but we're going to use the crosses, jump and throw them and to line them up appropriately and be able to take care of them as fast as possible. Overlapping the whip across as many as possible, 2 or 3 bats at a time, will increase the damage, as well as using what are known as whip cancels. You're going to see Eagle Eye Jones throwing in some whip cancels every now and again. He is very good at them. This is where you are using the full animation of the whip out, but then using the limp whip animation, which has a much faster reset. By combining the two animations together, you essentially cancel the first animation and are able to throw out full damage whips much faster than if you were to allow the full extension animation to play through. Now that he is done with the gold keep, we move on to stage A. Enjoy the music. It is a fantastic ascent, as this is very much a level of don't fall, good platforming. Watch out for these gears that each tooth is a sprite, and making sure that you don't lag, as lag is very much an issue, as every time that you kill one of these skeletons, the bones, the death animations, the gears, as I mentioned, the teeth, they're all there and they slow down the game. Sometimes you can use these to your advantage to despawn certain sprites, as I mentioned the frame rule previously. But a little bit of but sometimes those sprites cause Simon to move forward unexpectedly, and well handled from Eagle Eye Jones, as it takes a little bit of a twitch reaction, and you can easily fall off of the gears as they rotate and accelerate you unpredictably.
Do you mind if I just take a quick moment?
Absolutely, go right ahead.
All right, I'm just going to clear my throat for this one. We got another donation from Valestine for $60, and the comment is, goal! As we reached our $1,000 goal with that.
Oh, right!
Oh my god, Valestine, thank you a lot.
Oh, wow, 1K hype, chat. Everybody that donated up to this at Valestine. Oh, I can't believe that. $1,000 for the kids, everybody. That is amazing.
You are really a trooper, Valestine. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is there any other donations? Nope, we're going to be moving on forward. Oh,
sorry, not at this time.
Okay, no worries. We're going to move on through stage A, the ascent. As you saw, Simon using these rings to be pulled up toward the boss, the mummy that waits at the very end of the stage. There is a pattern that you're going to notice here. You're going to take a little bit of a damage boost, skip the knight, and make his way across to the second set of rings. There is a fast ascent that has a very, very tight window and a proper setup, using the scrolling level to our advantage, causing certain things to spawn at a certain time. But there is a little bit of risk, and it's a very tight window. But he is able to use the extending whip, as you see there, to have the dragon throw the fireball at a certain time, avoiding it safely without taking any damage, moving his way to the way filled with skeletons as he approaches the mummy to the second to last stage. Now, the mummy has a little bit of RNG. This is unfortunately the bad pattern, a center spawn. Optimally, we want the mummy to be on either the right or the left in order to be able to throw those crosses and stack that damage. But unfortunately, the mummy does not want to play nice. Mummy was not kind. And Simon is going to have to throw a couple more crosses, take a little bit of the fireballs, but that's okay. We were able to get him down to 2 cycles, which is still fairly quick. 3 cycles is the worst, essentially, when you're dealing with mummy patterns in a speedrun. But well done, Eagle Eye. Short work of 2 cycles, and moving on to Stage B.
Thank you.
Stage B. There is the boss rush, which contains 3 bosses, Dracula at the very end, and a secret boss, actually, that exists at the very, very beginning that speedrunners are aware of. As I had mentioned, that dead pixel in the stairs, it exists. So, for some reason, the designers were like, hey, let's put an entire level based on stairs. And the final secret boss, the first secret boss that we encounter, in Stage B, is Stairs Boss. You're gonna notice that these stairs, just after this crumbling bridge made of bats, which, somebody needs to check that structural integrity, made of bats, questionable, but nonetheless, after this stage of bats, which causes a little bit of lag, and we're going to use actually a quick boost off of these bats to skip those stairs, you're going to notice the stairs crumbling away beneath Simon's feet as he touches them. So making sure that each jump is positioned appropriately at a certain time so that we avoid the dead pixels. We don't get stuck on certain stairs. As you saw there, sometimes that can happen, and you only get one chance. Once you stand on those stairs, they are crumbling, and Simon can indeed be stuck on the platform. And if that's the case, you jump off into the pit. There is a circular blade chasing you all the way up this stage. You can't slow down. So if you're there, you jump off, you start from the bottom yet again. So sometimes Stairs Boss can get you. But here, Eagle Eye Jones makes short work of the stage. Moving on to these platforms, these spikes are fatal. Any contact with these spikes is instant death. And these platforms, while manipulatable, can be a little bit of an issue if you get a bad pattern. Here is a very rough pattern for Eagle Eye Jones, but recognizing it right away, takes the jump that is the only jump that is available, the shallow jump, unless of course he was to risk the pattern continuing. Sometimes it cannot happen and you can be stuck with a pattern where, guess what, your only choice is to go into the spikes. But here he's able to read the pattern properly, make the short jump, move on to the final set of platforms here with a set amount of health. Hopefully he gets a nice pattern in order to be able to get the second meat candle. Oh, unfortunately, no, the game was not kind, and he's now moving on to the boss rush. First boss, Slogra. Slogra is a regular theme. I'm pretty sure if you've played any of the Castlevanias prior to this, you will recognize him. But he is known as the Destroyer of Dreams and PBs. He can smell when you're on a good pace, and will do a random 15% charge if you are not careful. But here, Eagle Eye Jones using some fantastic cross-throw placement, overlapping it. As you can see, he has invincibility frames, not taking damage after being hit. But if you're able to get those crosses on top of him as he comes back into his damage phase, you're actually able to do 3 pips of damage, which can really help, especially since Slogger will charge, and it is a very tight window for you to be able to avoid his charge attacks. And if he decides to double charge you, it's almost unavoidable if you're on the right side of the screen. But no issues here for Eagle Eye as he is pushing his way through Slogra, moving his way onto the second boss of the 3, Gaibon, a gargoyle-like boss that shoots fireballs down. Could be a problem. He does a lot of damage, especially when he gets into a second phase. But as we've mentioned, a couple of properly timed crosses, chases him and follows him across the screen, doing overlap damage, setting himself up with some whips, and knocking him down. Gaibon can be a problem if you don't get that timing right, but here, one of the easier bosses. You can get out of it without even really taking any damage. Moving on to the third boss, Death. Death is all about the setup. Making sure that you get your crosses properly within the first phase really helps, as Death can decide to hang around on the top shelf where he's a little bit out of range of certain combos, or can decide to pull you in and do the scythe toss. And the scythe toss with his big reaping scythe is the most damaging ability in the game, doing 5 pips of damage, which can get out of hand if you don't know how to avoid it. Here, you're going to notice that he's going for a couple of sweeping attacks, going low and trying to chase Simon across the stage, allowing Eagle Eye to get some free whips in as he's low to the ground, and some crosses, stacking them up when he comes back. But as you see here, Eagle Eye Jones is able to get a handle on him with all of those sweeping strikes, and make short work of death.
Could have been shorter.
It could have been shorter, but still, it wasn't out of hand, and you survived, so well done. We're going to see Simon do something interesting here. We're going to move up the steps to Dracula. Oh, he missed the steps. Oh, no, he didn't. There is a secret platform that is there for you to acquire all of anything that you need. So if you were to die here, you can go back down there and reset everything. Once again, get full combo, full health, 99 hearts, so that when you go to face Dracula, whose only hitbox is his head, you are fully equipped to take care of him. Now, Dracula has 3 phases and an intermediate phase between each one. The first phase is all about summoning fireballs that spread across the screen, so that Simon, even if he jumps over them, will be taking damage. The point is to whip at them and destroy them the best that you can. The intermediate phase is right here, where you notice an orb being summoned that, if hit, turns into food, which is great for Simon, but sometimes can be a pain if the orb is chasing you around the screen. And this is a second phase, where the fireballs are being summoned. These are elementals that will chase Simon around the screen. The key is to try to avoid them, or hit them with your whip in order to remove them. But unfortunately, the fire beneath them, and also the way that they move, can do damage if you get too close. The key here is to try to burn him down as fast as possible, no pun intended with the flames. Using a couple of whip cancels and some cross throws, you are able to time everything properly and take everything out, setting up some abilities for for Simon to do excessive amounts of damage to Dracula. Here is another neat phase, moving into the third and final phase, the lightning phase, where basically beams of lightning can come down and smite Simon. But what you can do if you are at low health here, but Eagle Eye Jones is at full health, doing a fantastic job, is pause and read where these lightning strikes are coming from. So you can actually read them and get some time to adjust and maybe figure out where you're coming from. But that's not where they're coming from. That's not necessary, though, for Eagle Eye Jones, as he makes short work of Dracula, taking care of him. As we've always known, Dracula was just a bunch of bats in a trench coat. The time is going to be stopping very soon when Simon collects the orb. So, everybody in chat, raise your GGs, give a round of applause. That is Super Castlevania 4 and time.
Very well done. Incredibly entertaining. I cannot imagine being able to play through that game casually, so it's always impressive to see these speedruns go through. Very glad that you could be part of this here and involved in us reaching our first milestone of $1,000 raised. So big thanks to everybody. Big thanks everybody in chat, all the donors, all of the runners. Eagle Eye Jones, thank you. Great commentary as well, D&D Nat 21.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I love running this game. I love commentating on it, and thank you so much for allowing us to do this.
Yeah, we can clearly see that you're both very passionate about this game. It's just very fun. Very fun to watch. So coming up next, we've got a Castlevania Bloodlines race between Victus and Castlevania 1. And with that race, or rather with this run, is actually Sunset's my time as your host. But don't you worry, I will be leaving you in the very capable hands and even more capable beard of Flibbity Flam, who will be taking over the next little while. So thanks for having me. I will definitely be around in chat. But hold on for a little while we're just getting the other run ready.
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for the donations. Have fun with the rest of the evening.
You're all amazing.